The next day, while sitting in on a math class, no one could solve an extracurricular problem. My phone suddenly rang, and I was scolded by the teacher.
最后一排那位同学，就是你，起立，你上来，写写看。
I walked up to the podium and began explaining my problem-solving ideas.
首先，我们要重新定义一个新的卡泰拉模型。
I wrote down the solution steps on the blackboard to avoid exposing my identity. I left the classroom quickly after finishing, but as soon as I walked out, I was stopped by Hishan. She threatened with the academic affairs office. Helpless, I had to admit I was Li Xiaorui.
家里跟我断绝了关系，我实在走投无路，才来城下蹭课的。我只想偷偷把读大学的机会给找回来。
那你可以再考啊，为什么要冒充学生呢？
我被禁考5年，5年之后我几岁？这5年我能做什么？给我一个重新开始的机会。
Perhaps out of guilt, Hishan acquiesced to my pretense.
你到底叫什么呀？
他叫费可。
Su Ou extended another olive branch, inviting me to collaborate with the finance club. The problems I solved there shocked the entire club.
朋友们，像这样优秀的人才不进咱们金融社，是不是可惜了？是啊，金融社人才辈出，学欧师哥的父亲当年就是学生会主席，王叔是现在是部长，就是个普通的公务员。为了避嫌，我从小就跟我妈妈的姓。
Just like that, I successfully joined the finance club. At that time, the finance club needed to analyze to newly arrived documents. That for an important discussion at next week's forum. But everyone had already reached their borrowing limit. Su Wu asked me to borrow them for the club.
学生证，明天带行不行？我今天忘了。
你学生证放哪？宿舍。要不回去学一趟。
But there were only 20 minutes left before the library closed. I rushed back to find Xiao Qiao.
帮我做个正版的学生证，多少钱？50后着呢，我给你买。现在要穷了。走。
After getting the ID, I ran back to the library. The librarian had been kept waiting at the door for a long time.
费克，你没有数学系的，周末好好研究去吧。
With this identity, I worked hard to earn money while sitting in on classes. I got along well with everyone in the finance club, and sometimes I even snuck into movies for free. Life was hard, but fulfilling. To make it easier to attend classes, I rented a staff dormitory with the fake student ID. It felt like my life was finally on track, but this good fortune didn't last long. Xiao Qiao threatened to expose my fake identity.
你租了个单元房吧，还装没钱啊？
职工宿舍，为了蹭课方便。
你还知道自己是蹭课的，要不要我提醒一下保安呢？
什么作用？
真发言。
To celebrate Su Ouwu's election as the president of the finance club, the club organized a mountain climbing trip. But the weather suddenly took a turn for the worse on the way. I got separated from the others and ran into Hishan, who was falling behind.
你为什么再也没有联系过我？
我没有想到会在考场遇到你。
你怀疑是我举报你？
没有啊。
We're lost in the mountains. The rain kept getting heavier, and the temperature in the mountains dropped sharply below 0°C.
得怎么来？
我不是那次人，我是被告。
This mountain climbing accident caused quite a stir. Rescue teams were even dispatched. 3 students were sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Back at school, the school leaders asked for the list of participants. To protect everyone, Su Ou would rather be expelled than handed over. But unexpectedly, Hishan stepped forward. When I returned to the staff dormitory, I met Xiao Qiao with a bandaged hand. He had been set up. He not only lost the money but also had a finger cut off. He threatened to expose my fake identity again, demanding that I help his borrow money. At that moment, Su Ou came to me because of Hishan's submission of the list, pressing me about my relationship with her. Their confrontation was interrupted by Xiao Qiao's commotion.
是和珅吗？不是我，真不知道和珅是谁。
和珅，是你吗？
真不是。说你就听，
对不起啊，误会你了。
别怪这说。
After that, Zhao Qiao made an exorbitant demand. He wanted me to help his borrow 50,000 yuan.
我真没有什么有钱的朋友。刚才那个了，金融事我操，一听就有钱。你个学生啊，等我自己管他也好吧。不去。
Just as I was worrying about raising the money, I received a call from my stepmother, saying my father was in the hospital and was dying. I went back to my hometown hospital, looking at my father lying motionless in the hospital bed. My heart was filled with mixed emotions. My stepmother said she had spent all her savings treating my father. My brother also sent back his salary to pay for the medical bills.
那是你家的事，跟我没关系。
我不是和你要钱，我是觉得这20年，不管我们有什么恩恩怨怨，今天当着你爸，咱们就一笔勾销，别让你爸带着遗憾走。
I took a photo of my father's medical records and went back to Chengda to ask senior brother for a loan. But when I went to finance club, everyone looked at me strangely.
这个，还是你叫什么名字我不管，你现在立刻给教务处打电话自首，说你是冒充成大的学生，然后永远滚出成大的校园。你赶紧走吧，数一下吧。还想骗钱？我们不会再相信你了。
At that moment, I felt like a clown stripped naked in public. All my dignity and pride were trampled into pieces. After leaving the finance club, Zhao Qiao called again to press me for the money.
钱收到了吗？
借到了，正在给你送去的路上。
In the past, I compromised again and again to stay at Chengda, but now I had nothing left to lose. After hanging up, I resolutely called the tip line. Hiding in the crowd, I watched as Zhao Qiao was taken away in a police car. That familiar sense of revengeful pleasure engulfed me once again. At that very moment, I received a call from my stepmother. My father had passed away. My only remaining relative was gone. His death felt like the final thread connecting me to my past had been cut. I was no longer Li Zirui. I was completely fake. Later, I met Zhang Zhuan, a very simple girl. We spent a wonderful time together. I thought I could have a sincere relationship and live an ordinary life. But reality dealt me another heavy blow. To help her realize her dream, I used my connections to get her the lead role. But unexpectedly, this made her see a shortcut to success. For her own interests, she voluntarily slept with someone else and betrayed me. She turned my friends into hers and used those connections to expand her own network further. In the end, she abandoned me without mercy. After that, I no longer trusted anyone, especially hating being used and betrayed. I began to reflect. Why was I always at the mercy of fate? Why couldn't I be the one in control of my own life? So I resolved to change. I would pursue fame, status, money, and dignity in my own way, to prove that I had truly existed in this world. I disguised myself as the descendant of a senior official, a top university graduate, and an overseas returnee elite, moving among mining bosses, fund directors, and corporate executives. When I learned they all had ulterior motives for approaching me, I resolutely chose to take revenge 1,000-fold in my own way. I cheated them out of tens of millions of yuan, leaving them trapped in endless regret and pain.
我叫费可，我要开始说谎了。